Hey guys, Katie from the K Show blog here, and today I just wanted to have a quick chat about some common misconceptions of solo female travelers. And of course, these are just my opinions. These are the first ones that came to my mind when I thought about it, but I'd love to hear yours too. Sorry about the dog. So if you are a solo female traveler, or SFT as I like to call it, drop yours in the comments below, or let me know if you've experienced any of these. Let's get into it. Chanel? No. So number one, that they're lonely. Now, I know people see me like eating alone at a restaurant or doing things by myself, and like I see the pity in their eyes. And people have asked like, don't you ever get lonely while you're traveling solo? I know some people experience this, but for me, like, not so much. I'm pretty comfortable hanging out by myself, and I like that freedom of traveling by myself and just exploring by myself. Like it's a good feeling. I'm pretty comfortable alone, and honestly, like, I don't really trust people who aren't comfortable alone. If you can't do anything by yourself, like, something like triggers a red flag in me, because it's like, if you know yourself better than anyone, and even you don't want to hang out with you, why should I? Like, what am I missing? But yeah, I think one conception is that, solo female travelers are always lonely, and it makes sense because humans are social animals, right? One lone human is kind of abnormal and a little bit dangerous usually. So I don't think it comes from a bad place when people think about it or say these things. And people have like started up conversations with me. People have invited me to eat with them, invited me on day trips, like all sorts of things. And these have been great experiences. So it's not to it's not to say anything bad about that, because I like talking to people, I like making connections. So these have been fun times. But I still think it is like a misconception that, oh, she's sitting by herself, she must be sad and lonely. Like, she must need us to come and rescue her. There's this air of pity around it. And like, I want to chat because it's cool to chat, and I like chatting to people, I like meeting people. But like, don't think I need rescuing. Don't think you're coming over here to save me from anything, because like, I don't need to be saved, You're not doing me a favor. And I would have had just as good a time by myself as well. You know what I mean? Number two, that solo female travelers are like somehow bitter or anti like marriage and settling down and all that kind of stuff. I think this is a misconception, but there's also like a good amount of truth to it, right? Because like, I'm in the solo travel Facebook groups, like I follow some bloggers. I see that there are people who are like bitter and jaded and just overly negative towards anyone with a different lifestyle to their own. So like, I know it exists, but I think it's a misconception that like we're all like that. And I think that like obnoxious solo travel book with the cult like following, I'm not even going to mention it. I think stuff like that like doesn't help. But some of us are married and still travel solo. Happily married, I should say. And you know what? Like, being married is the best adventure I've ever done. If I had to choose tomorrow between like, you can like travel as much as you want for the rest of your life, but you have to never, see this man again that you're married to, or like be with him, like, I'm choosing him every time. There's not even a question in my mind. Like, being married has been the greatest adventure of my life, and my solo female traveling like doesn't negate that. And like, parenting, you know what? I'll be honest, it's not for me personally. Like, the gods didn't write that in my fate. But almost all of my friends are mothers. Like, I'm coming down to being like the last one without kids, and like, I think they're superheroes. No question. What's more incredible than creating a human life, like bringing it into the world, even if they adopted or surrogate or whatever, like, you're raising this human into being a great adult, and like teaching them how to walk, you teach them how to eat, you teach them everything, and like nurture them and guide them along this path. So like, that's an incredible thing, and I respect and admire people who do that. Wow. My dog just like ran at me really fast. So I respect and admire everyone, even though it's like a different lifestyle from my own. There's not that like negativity or bitterness or like, oh, I hate kids. So I think it's safe to say that like not all solo female travelers are like so bitter and hateful towards people with a different lifestyle, and that would only be the ones that are like not very secure, I would say, and like projecting that insecurity out. But some of us are just solo traveling because we enjoy solo traveling, and maybe it's, scheduling or anything like that that leads you to do it, but there's not like this like overwhelming negativity towards people with a different lifestyle. Number 3, that all solo female travelers are like lost and looking for purpose or overcoming a crisis. Honestly, I kind of blame movies for this. And I'm looking at you, Eat, Pray, Love. I'm looking at you, Wild. What else is there? Under the Tuscan Sun. Like, all these movies that have solo female travel weaved into that storyline, they kind of portray this like idea that for a woman to go out and travel solo can't just be for the fun of it, right? She must be completely lost and trying to find a purpose in life and like overcoming some big crisis. I don't actually like those movies because the character seems to like create a lot of their own problems, so it's not even, you know, maybe just have some self-awareness and accountability or something. You could have done that without the big dramatic adventure, but whatever. But FYI, we're not all in a crisis, okay? Some of us have done our shadow work. Some of us work to heal our traumas. Some of us are like working to build a stable mental state, and we just enjoy traveling by ourselves for the fun of it. It can be as simple as that. Number 4, that you're waiting for someone, that you're not even traveling solo. And I think this is one of the main assumptions. It's one of the quickest ones you usually encounter, is that like you're not even traveling solo in the first place. Like you'll be somewhere, you know, at a restaurant, at a tour or whatever, and people always think like if you're standing there alone, you must automatically, like your boyfriend's in the bathroom or your husband's wherever or your friends are wherever, and you're just waiting for them to catch up to you, but like you wouldn't be there alone. And it's pretty harmless, right? Like it's not a damaging assumption or anything like that, but it's just one I've encountered a lot, that like that first question is always like, who are you waiting for? And like this assumption that you couldn't possibly be there by yourself. Quick pause. I know what you're thinking. Cool shirt, right? Yeah, of course you are. Look, adventure, alpaca my bag. It is a cool shirt. It's by my friend Jasmine. I'm gonna leave a link to her store below. She gifted me this and I just love it. She gave me 2 shirts actually, and she's just started making her own shirts. So if you wanna support a fellow solo female traveler who support that hustle and is making cool stuff, just check out her link and pick up one of these cool shirts. She's from Switzerland, by the way, which is a pretty beautiful place. If it hasn't been already on your list, it should be, because it is very beautiful. Number 5, last one, we're reckless because it's so dangerous to travel solo, right? So like we must all just be, you know, waiting for death and reckless with our safety and our lives. Let me say firstly, like solo female travel is nowhere near as dangerous as people think. For starters, let's get that out of the way. If you can walk around the town where you live by yourself, if you can do anything there by yourself, you can travel solo because there's just as much crime where you live, right? You're just oblivious to it because it's a comfortable space. But I think one misconception is either like, oh, they're so brave for traveling solo, which is really not an act of bravery, you know, like a parent whose kid is terminally ill, who holds together their feelings so that kid's only life memories isn't watching their parent cry. That's brave, you know? Mike Mansour, the guy that jumped on the grenade to save the rest of his team, you know, killing himself in the process, like that's bravery. Going on holidays, it's hardly brave, you know, when you think about like the perspective of the world's situations. But yeah, it's like people either mistakenly think like we're super brave, which or we have this like reckless abandon, just don't care about living or anything like that. And I think that's not true, because like I do care about living and making the most of my life. That's why I do these things, because I want to pack as much experience as I can, because I'm very aware that like life is short and I don't have a lot of time. So I just want to like do as much and see as much while I can. And I know some people probably see it as crazy or reckless or unsafe or whatever, but like nothing I do is reckless. I wouldn't say I'm like that type of person. My brain is always like very risk management. So everything's thought out, everything's planned, everything has some sort of like forethought into thinking this is the best situation, like this is the best plan of attack kind of thing. So I'm going on holidays solo, but like I'm not walking around drunk at 2 in the morning by myself in some city where I don't even know anything. Like that's reckless in my opinion. I'm pretty measured by comparison. And above all else, I follow that which is a million times smarter than my brain will ever be, and that's my intuition. So like always listening to that, it's so much smarter, so much more insightful, and I try and just let that guide wherever I need to go. But yeah, definitely not this reckless abandon or, you know, in a hurry to die or anything like that. So that's it for my top 5. Do you have any others to add, or have you experienced any of these? Please let me know in a comment below. I'd love to have a little chat with you. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really helps me grow my channel. I know it seems like a small thing, but it really helps me grow. And if you like the video, don't forget to tell YouTube you like the video by hitting the thumbs up button. And other than that, I will see you guys next time. Bye!